What's good, narrative analysts? Jax here, and we need to talk about something that's been eating at me for weeks now. I've been deep in the digital trenches, filtering through hours of content, social media patterns, and media coverage metrics, and I've uncovered something that's going to make you question everything you think you know about how the WNBA really operates behind the scenes. So here's the thing that got my investigative instincts firing on all cylinders. We just watched Angel Reese get absolutely demolished by commentary after the Washington Mystics game. And I mean demolished. 22 points, 13 rebounds, another double-double, and somehow the entire basketball internet decided this was the perfect moment to question whether she's making her team worse. But here's what's been nagging at me, and I think you're going to find this as fascinating as I do. When was the last time, and I mean the last time, you saw this level of systematic destruction aimed at Caitlin Clark? And before you start typing in the comments, I'm not talking about random Twitter trolls or jealous fans. I'm talking about coordinated media campaigns, former WNBA legends dropping tier rankings, and content creators building entire viral strategies around questioning her basketball IQ or team impact. The answer is never. It literally never happens. And that, my friends, is where this story really begins. Because what I discovered in my research is going to blow your mind about how the WNBA's star-making machine actually works and why certain players get titanium-level protection while others get fed to the content creation wolves. Let me break down what happened in that Mystics game that everyone's losing their minds over. Because the details matter here. The Chicago Sky got worked 103-86. That's a 17-point blowout. Angel Reese recorded her 11th consecutive double-double with 22 points and 13 rebounds. Should have been a decent individual performance in a team loss, right? But here's where the narrative manipulation gets disgusted, absolutely diabolical.
Listen, the Washington Mystics just put belt to ass on Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. Sonia Citron was out there cooking with hot grease. Stir the pot, stir the pot. Keep cooking, Sonia. That was a show.
Notice how that framing immediately personalizes a team loss as an individual failure. That's not accidental, people. That's strategic narrative construction at its finest. Now let's talk about something that's been completely ignored in all this chaos, the mathematical reality of how these two players are actually covered by basketball media. I spent hours compiling data, and what I found is going to make you furious about the double standards operating in plain sight. According to my deep search into social media intelligence, Angel Reese maintains 4.8 million Instagram followers versus Caitlin Clark's 3.1 million. But here's where it gets interesting. Clark dominates positive sentiment metrics with a 7.8 rating compared to Reese's 3.1, while Reese leads controversy scores at 9.1 versus Clark's 2.3. Think about what that tells us. One player has more followers but gets systematically more negative coverage. The other has fewer followers but enjoys almost complete protection from sustained criticism. That's not organic, folks. That's engineered, conspiratorial. Okay, now let's get into rumor territory. Nothing is officially confirmed, but the online chatter is too loud to ignore. What I've been hearing from multiple sources in basketball media circles is that there are very specific guidelines about how certain players can and cannot be covered. And before you think I'm making this up, let me give you some concrete examples that you can verify yourself. When the Indiana Fever started their season terribly, and I mean terribly, going 1-8 in their first 9 games, how much of that was blamed on Caitlin Clark's adjustment to professional basketball? Now compare that to how Angel Reese gets treated when the Chicago Sky loses games. Every single defeat becomes a referendum on her individual basketball IQ, her defensive capabilities, her team leadership. It's like clockwork.
Man, Kiki Area Fan got the better of her today. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 14 shooting. Man, Kiki stirring that pot on Angel today. Listen, the Chicago Sky are trash. In Washington Mystics, you are a 500 team fighting for the playoffs. You are scrapping to get into that playoffs, and I respect it. Led by 2 rookie all-stars, and Angel Reese had the nerve to say they have the best young core. We all know the Indiana Fever had the best young core in the league with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. Forget young core, that's probably the best duo, period. So during that whole thing, when she said, yo, we the skyscrapers, best young duo in the league. When she said that, I told y'all, we all knew CC and AB was better. That's not even a conversation. I said, wait a second. Are y'all sure, Angel, are you sure you and Camila are better than Sonia Citron and Kiki? The last I checked, the Washington Mystics had 2 rookies that made the All-Star team. And boy, did they show why today. They took this matchup personal. Austin going at him. Everybody's just going at him. The Chicago Sky are food. And I mean, it's just embarrassing to the point where it's like, you, like, as a Sky fan, y'all are probably happy y'all lost by less than 20 points today. And that is embarrassing. That is ridiculous. Y'all getting popped, bro. Y'all not just losing. Y'all getting smoked by 20 and 30 and 40 and almost 50. Bro, y'all are terrible. Something has to change. Something has to change.
See how that works? Even when discussing team construction, everything gets filtered through Clark as the gold standard. But here's what really gets me fired up about this whole protection racket. Let me tell you about the Candace Parker situation, because this is where the mask completely comes off. Parker drops her player tier rankings on her podcast, which, by the way, she's promoting because she has a business to run, and ranks Angel Reese in the C tier. That's her opinion, and she's entitled to it. But somehow, when Reese responds to getting publicly ranked below rookies by a 3-time champion, she's the one chasing clout. The same Angel Reese, who has her own podcast, brand deals, and social media presence that she built independently.
Yet again, her fans have talked her into another one-sided beef. The other side doesn't know that they're beefing, but as far as Angel Reese is concerned, as far as the Reese's Pieces are concerned, oh, it's beef and it is on site. The last one-sided beef, you guys know. This current one-sided beef started innocently when Candace Parker was asked to ranked players who were clearly better than Angel Reese. The Reese's Pieces threw a temper tantrum, tagged Angel so many times, tweeted about it so many times, that now Angel Reese is convinced in her own mind, oh, this actually is beef. Candace Parker, you don't like me.
Official sources won't tell you this, but if you follow the digital breadcrumbs, a different picture emerges. Parker's assessment gets amplified by major sports outlets like Sports Illustrated and USA Today, giving it institutional credibility. But when Reese pushes back, suddenly she's being unprofessional and can't handle criticism. But here's where it gets really wild. The same treatment never, and I mean never, gets applied to Clark. When she has rough shooting nights, it's growing pains. When the Fever lose games, it's team construction issues or coaching adjustments needed. The temperature of the online conversation suggests something deeper is happening here, and I think I know what it is. Let me share what I discovered about the WNBA's marketing strategy that explains everything. This is where things get interesting, because we're about to talk about business decisions that directly impact how these narratives get constructed. The Clark-Reese rivalry generates record WNBA viewership. ESPN recorded 2.7 million viewers for their matchups, peaking at 3.1 million. That's massive money for the league. But here's the key insight that changes everything. Successful business requires one player to be the hero and one to be the villain. And there it is. Clark doesn't just move the needle, she is the needle. That's not basketball analysis, that's marketing positioning. The WNBA found their golden goose, and they're going to protect that investment at all costs. But that protection requires contrast. You can't have a hero without a villain. And guess who got assigned the villain role? I've been filtering through the noise, and the signals point to a coordinated effort to maintain very specific narratives around both players. Clark gets positioned as the transformative superstar who elevates everyone around her. Reese gets positioned as the controversial stat padder who can't win meaningful games. But let's talk about what happens when you actually examine their rookie season impacts objectively, shall we? The Indiana Fever went from 13-27 in 2023 to 20-20 in 2024. That's a 7-game improvement with significant roster changes and a new coaching system built around Clark's skill set. Impressive development, absolutely. The Chicago Sky went from 18-22 in 2023 to 13-27 in 2024. That's a 5-game decline with major roster turnover, coaching instability, and veteran players dealing with injuries throughout the season. So one rookie gets credit for team improvement with organizational support, while another rookie gets blamed for team decline despite organizational chaos. Makes perfect sense, right? That brings us to the inevitable question, what happens when this protection racket gets exposed? Because here's what nobody wants to acknowledge. Reese's controversial numbers are historically significant. She set the WNBA record for consecutive double-doubles. She became the fastest player to reach certain rebounding milestones. She made the All-Star team as a rookie. But somehow, when Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen have great games against Chicago, it becomes evidence that Reese is overrated. When they both score 20-plus points in the same game, making Mystics franchise history, it's used to question whether the Sky have the best young core.
Angel Reese is the double-double queen. They got the brakes beat off of them last night by the Minnesota Lynx. Angel Reese's double-double, I think 11 points, 11 rebounds, was meaningless and insignificant.
Notice how Clark gets called a superstar, not a female superstar, while Reese gets constantly measured against standards that apparently don't apply to anyone else. This is systematic narrative construction, people, and it's working exactly as designed. But the story doesn't end there, because what's happening now is going to determine the WNBA's future in ways that most fans don't realize. The league is at a crossroads. They can continue with this manufactured hero-villain dynamic that drives short-term engagement, or they can figure out how to celebrate multiple stars without destroying others.
Angel Reese went home and got cooked in front of everybody. She played a good game, but her team got destroyed. This team is pitiful. Pitiful. And the sad part is, it's not like they have anywhere to turn. Ariel Atkins didn't play today, but she ain't been winning them no game. It's not, they have nowhere to turn. They went and made moves in the offseason as if they had a team to go out and win games and try to compete right now. Going and giving up your young draft pick for Ariel Atkins, going and getting Vandersloot, who's hurt. I mean, I just don't understand the direction they thought they were going in. But this has been malpractice from the management to the coaching to a lot of these players. Terrible.
When broadcast professionals are laughing at players on live television and then catching themselves, that tells you everything about the culture that's been created around certain narratives. Look, I'm not here to tear down Caitlin Clark. She's an incredible basketball player who's had a transformative impact on the sport. Her rookie season was phenomenal, and she deserves every bit of recognition she's received. But real basketball analysis requires acknowledging that you can celebrate one player without systematically destroying another. The fact that this concept seems revolutionary in WNBA discourse tells you everything about how broken the current system has become. Here's what I find most fascinating about this whole protection mechanism. It actually hurts both players in the long run. Clark gets put on such a high pedestal that any human struggles or team failures become massive stories because they contradict the perfect player narrative. Reese gets so brutalized by criticism that her legitimate achievements get overshadowed by manufactured controversies.
A lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Meaningless and insignificant double-doubles from a rookie who's breaking league records. That's not basketball analysis, that's character assassination. So what's fact and what's speculation? Let's break it down. Fact: Caitlin Clark receives significantly more positive media coverage despite having fewer social media followers than Angel Reese. Fact: Angel Reese's individual achievements get consistently framed as empty statistics while Clark's get framed as team-elevating performances. Fact: the WNBA benefits financially from maintaining narrative tension between these players. Rumor reported. Okay, now let's get into rumor territory. Nothing is officially confirmed, but the online chatter is too loud to ignore. Multiple sources suggest there are informal guidelines in basketball media about how certain players should be covered, with some players getting protected status while others become fair game for systematic criticism. The uncomfortable truth is becoming impossible to ignore. The WNBA's star-making machine operates on a protection racket system that benefits certain players while sacrificing others for content creation and narrative maintenance. But here's where this gets really interesting for the future of women's basketball. What happens when fans start recognizing these patterns? What happens when people realize they're being manipulated into manufactured drama instead of genuine basketball discourse?
Asia Wilson, reigning MVP, couple Defensive Player of the Years, 2 championships. If there was something higher than S, I would definitely put her up there. But Nafisa Collier, she's up there with top tier with Asia. Just her ability to play on both sides of the ball, pump fake, she's gonna make you choose wrong. I know you guys are gonna say I'm biased because I'm putting all 4s at the S, but the 4s run the league. Don't ever forget that. Brianna Stewart, the versatility, reigning champion from last year. She's got 3 of them things. I don't think there's any debate with that. This is where it gets tricky. Caitlin Clark is at an A level. I think in time she's gonna raise up to that S, but in order to put her at that level, she's gotta have a couple more years. So I'll put Kelsey Plum at the A level. 2-time champ, now took on the challenge to be #1 option in LA. I would say KP is definitely in that tier. I would love to put Sabrina Ionescu in that A range. She got that elusive championship. She's one of the best shooters in the WNBA, if not the best shooter in the WNBA.
The one-sided beef phenomenon perfectly captures how these narratives get manufactured. One player responds to criticism, gets labeled as starting drama, while the other player stays above the fray and gets praised for professionalism. This brings us to what I think is the most important question. What does authentic WNBA coverage actually look like? It looks like celebrating Caitlin Clark's incredible basketball IQ and game-changing impact without using it as a weapon against other rookies. It looks like acknowledging Angel Reese's historic rebounding achievements without dismissing them as empty stats. It looks like analyzing team success and failure through organizational context instead of individual scapegoating. Most importantly, it looks like treating these players as human beings with complex basketball skill sets instead of cartoon characters in a manufactured rivalry designed to drive engagement metrics. I've been investigating this story for weeks, and what I've discovered is that the protection racket around certain WNBA players isn't just bad for the players getting destroyed, it's bad for basketball discourse in general. When we allow narrative manipulation to replace authentic analysis, we all lose. Fans lose because they're getting entertainment instead of education. Players lose because their achievements get filtered through marketing requirements instead of basketball merit. The sport loses because storylines become more important than actual games. But here's what gives me hope. You all are smarter than the system gives you credit for. You can recognize manufactured drama when you see it. You can appreciate multiple players without tearing others down. You can demand better basketball coverage that serves your intelligence instead of insulting it. So the next time you see systematic criticism aimed at one player while another gets complete protection, ask yourself, what business interests are being served by this narrative? Who benefits when certain players become untouchable while others become acceptable targets? The answers to those questions will tell you everything you need to know about how the WNBA really operates behind all the highlight reels and social media buzz. That's what real narrative analysis looks like, people. Not manufactured drama, not empty controversy, but understanding the forces that shape the stories we're told to believe. If you found this investigation valuable, smash that like button to help other basketball fans find authentic analysis instead of manufactured drama. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want more deep dives into the stories behind the stories that shape WNBA culture. And drop a comment letting me know, what other WNBA narratives do you think need this kind of investigative analysis? What stories are being told that don't match what you see on the court? Remember, we're not here to tear anyone down, we're here to build better basketball discourse that serves everyone who loves this sport. Until next time, keep questioning the narratives, keep demanding authentic analysis, and keep supporting the game we all love. This is Jax, signing off.